Turning now to the excerpt from Nozick's Anarchy, State and Utopia. That book is a defense of political libertarianism, on which the state is supposed to be minimal. It should restrict its activities to the protection of individual rights, rights to life, liberty, property, and contract, and it should not use state power to redistribute income or to protect people from harming themselves or to make them good people. Any more extensive state, according to Nozick, will violate people's rights. Nozick calls his own theory of justice the entitlement theory, and he contrasts that with theories that use what he calls end state or patterned principles to determine what's just. So an end state principle says that what matters is the distribution, not how the distribution came about. So it's ahistorical. A patterned principle of distribution says that resources should be distributed in a way that tracks certain features of individuals, their moral merit, how hard they work, or how happy they are, or how well they're doing relative to others. Rawls's view is both end state and patterned, and Nozick's view, Nozick's entitlement theory, is neither. Here's Nozick on patterned principles riffing on a slogan made famous by the German political theorist Karl Marx: from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Nozick writes, to think that the task of a theory of distributive justice is to fill in the blank in to each according to his blank is to be predisposed to search for a pattern. And the separate treatment of from each according to his blank treats production and distribution as two separate and independent issues. So on Nozick's entitlement view, these are not two separate issues. If you make something, provided that you've acquired the resources to make it legitimately, you're entitled to it. The state can't take it away and give it to someone else just because this other person doesn't have much. Nozick argues against both patterned and end state principles using the example of Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt was a center for the LA Lakers, and he once scored 100 points in a single game. I think he was named most valuable player 4 times. So imagine a society that has a perfectly just distribution of money, according to some end state or patterned view. Wilt Chamberlain is a great attraction and takes a 25-cent cut of each ticket to a Lakers home game. 1 million people in a season go to see him, and Wilt now has $250,000. Can anyone complain? Nozick asks rhetorically, on the grounds of justice. Well, no, he thinks. People freely paid the 25-cent surcharge to see Wilt, and Wilt himself did nothing wrong in accepting the money. But now the end distribution after that season is not perfectly just on the view we are considering. Well, if it is just, we can easily tweak the example, so we end up with an unjust distribution. As Nozick says, the general point illustrated by the Wilt Chamberlain example is that no end-state principle or distributional patterned principle of justice can be continuously realized without continuous interference with people's lives. Here is the entitlement theory illustrated. Two distributions again, A and B. Which is better than the other, according to Nozick, or maybe they're just the same. Please press K. Well, of course, the answer is we haven't been given enough information. There might be nothing wrong with A at all. Alternatively, maybe B is quite unjust if it came about because of fraud or theft. Everything depends, on Nozick's view, on the history of A and B, on the historical process that resulted in those two distributions. 8. Lola. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no.
Ha! You owe me $2,000.
1,500. Ah!
Bankrupt.
Maybe that doesn't matter so much. According to Descartes, I'm an immaterial soul, so perhaps I shouldn't trouble myself with these matters of flesh and blood. That's the topic for next week. We'll see you then.